When I got home from a business trip, my daughter was unconscious and my wife said, "She'll be fine." Hi, I'm Chester, 39. And the day I realized my daughter might not survive was the day my wife turned into a stranger. It started with silence. The kind that hits you square in the chest when you open the front door and feel something's off before you even see it. I'd just gotten back from a 3-day business trip to Minneapolis, sales conference, too many coffee-fueled keynotes, and bad hotel eggs. The house was too quiet. No excited footsteps, no "Daddy!" shriek, just stillness and an open bag of chips on the foyer table like someone had been interrupted mid-bite. Then I saw her. My daughter, Lily, 6 years old, curly hair that never obeyed a comb, was crumpled by the door like a forgotten doll. Her hand was cold. Her lips pale. Her breathing shallow. There was a dark bruise across her cheek, angry purple against her skin. "Jennifer!" I shouted, already kneeling. My hands shook as I checked her pulse, there but faint. "Jennifer!" My wife emerged from the kitchen, drying her hands on a dish towel. Calm. Like I'd just walked in on her rearranging furniture, not our daughter nearly unconscious on the floor. "Oh, she's being dramatic," she said. "I disciplined her earlier. She'll be fine." I stared at her, uncomprehending. "What the hell does that mean? What did you do?" "She was misbehaving. Threw a tantrum. I gave her some Benadryl to calm her down." "How much?" Jennifer shrugged. "A few pills." I grabbed my phone. "I'm calling 911. Her voice didn't even change tone. "You're overreacting. She's just tired. She's unconscious, Jennifer." The paramedics arrived in 8 minutes. The longest 8 minutes of my life. Lily didn't stir. But the moment that chilled me to the bone wasn't the sirens or the moment they loaded my daughter into the ambulance. It was when the lead paramedic saw my wife's face and went pale. He turned to me and whispered, "Sir, is that really your wife?" The paramedic's name tag read Martinez. Late 40s, calm under pressure, until he saw Jennifer. That calm cracked. He didn't blink. Didn't take his eyes off her. "Sir?" he whispered again. "Is that really your wife?" "Yes." "Why are you?" He interrupted me, eyes locked on her. "What's her maiden name?" "Morrison. Jennifer Morrison." I was still kneeling beside Lily, my hands cupped around her tiny fingers. "Why are you asking me this?" Martinez didn't answer. He pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and turned the screen to me. It was a news article. Dated November 2021. The headline made my stomach fall out. "Woman arrested in child abuse case. Stepson hospitalized with suspected injuries." The photo showed a woman with the same blonde hair. Same sharp jaw. Same unsettling calm in her eyes. But the name was different. Sarah Jensen. She changed her name. Martinez said tightly. Charges were dropped. Technicality. But I was on that call in Oregon. That kid, Dylan, he almost died. I blinked. My mind reeled. That's not possible. Jennifer, she's never even been to Oregon. She has, he said. She just wasn't Jennifer then. My throat dried out. Jennifer hadn't moved. She stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, completely unfazed. Martinez turned to his partner. "Get her vitals. Get the girl on the monitor. I'm calling this in." They worked fast. Blood pressure, oxygen levels 4. I hovered uselessly, answering every question they fired off. "How long has she been like this?" "I don't know. I just got home. 10 minutes, maybe." "Any known conditions?" "Meds?" "She's healthy. No regular medications." Martinez crouched beside Lily. "Sedation response is high. She was given way too much. Sir, she's lucky to be alive." I gripped the edge of the couch to steady myself. "What happens now?" He looked at me, serious, measured. "Now we take her to Seattle Children's. And someone needs to start asking questions. A lot of questions." Behind him, Jennifer finally spoke. "This is insane," she said coolly. "You people are overreacting. I'm her mother." But the way Martinez looked at her, like he was staring at a ghost, told me everything. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a parenting mistake. This was something else entirely. Seattle Children's Hospital, 9:37 p.m. The automatic doors flew open and the ER team rushed Lillian like she was made of glass. A blur of scrubs, masks, latex gloves. I followed them until someone pressed a hand to my chest. You need to wait here, sir. I didn't argue. I couldn't. My legs folded under me. I collapsed into a chair in the pediatric emergency waiting room while nurses and doctors swarmed the hallway. Somewhere behind those doors, my daughter was fighting for her life. My phone buzzed. Text from Jennifer. Where are you? I'm worried. Worried. I didn't reply. At 11:47 p.m., a doctor came out. Dr. Patricia Chin, gray streak in her bun, steely eyes, and a clipboard clenched like a weapon. I stood before she even spoke. Mr. Cooper? Yes. Your daughter has been drugged. Diphenhydramine Benadryl. Enough to sedate an adult male. She's also severely dehydrated, mildly malnourished, and shows signs of bruising in various stages of healing. I swayed. Bruising? She nodded grimly. We're documenting everything. There are contusions on her arms, back, and legs. Linear. Some old. Some new. My stomach churned. Are you saying this has been going on for a while? Yes, she said. We believe so. Weeks at least. Possibly months. But I've been home. Part-time, she said gently. Your travel records show you're away 2 to 3 times a month. 4 days at a time. I sank back into the chair. I didn't know. I didn't see. Dr. Chin sat beside me. Abuse like this doesn't always look like the horror stories on TV. Some abusers are quiet. Controlled. They hide it behind smiles and excuses. She fell. She's clumsy. She's sensitive. Sound familiar? I remember Jennifer rolling her eyes when Lily cried. Saying things like, she's just dramatic. Or, that girl knows how to push buttons. I believed it. I believed her. A detective showed up at midnight. Detective Raymond Foster, Seattle PD, Child Abuse Unit. Worn leather jacket, crow's feet, and a tone that suggested he'd seen things most people never would. He took my statement. I told him everything. How I met Jennifer. How perfect she seemed. How Lily had been quieter lately, more withdrawn. But I chalked it up to grief, to adjusting to a stepmother. You ever see your wife strike her? He asked. No, I said. Never. But, he prompted. 6 months ago, Lily asked me, Daddy, does Jennifer love me? I said of course she did. She said she's different when you're not home. I buried my face in my hands. She told me she was just being sensitive. I believed her. Foster jotted something down. We need to talk to your wife. She's at our house, I said quietly. 2847 Maple Avenue. He nodded. We'll be in touch. He walked out with the weight of something about to explode. At 2:13 a.m., Lily stirred. Eyes fluttering, unfocused. She looked around the hospital room. Then she saw me. Daddy? She croaked. I rushed to her, heart splitting open. I'm here, baby. I'm here. Tears pooled in her eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be bad. My hands trembled. You're not bad. You're not bad at all. Jennifer said, if I told, nobody would believe me. My heart shattered. I believe you, sweetheart. I whispered. I believe you completely. When Lily fell back asleep, small, fragile, hooked to machines that beat with a rhythm I hated, I stepped out into the hallway just to breathe without choking. The hospital air tasted like bleach and cold metal. My phone buzzed again. Block number. I let it ring out. 5 minutes later, it buzzed again. This time I answered. Jennifer's voice spilled through the speaker, syrupy and trembling. Dan, please. I'm scared. The police came to the house. They said you're accusing me of something. Baby, you know I'd never hurt Lily. I stood in that hallway like a statue carved out of disbelief. You drugged her. She was having a tantrum. You gave her enough Benadryl to sedate a grown man. A pause. Soft breathing. Then, you're listening to other people. You're letting them twist things. I'm your wife. No, I said quietly. You're a stranger who lives in my house. Her voice flattened. The mask dropped. If you do this, you'll destroy our family. I hung up. At 6 a.m., after 3 cups of coffee that tasted like burn anxiety, I called my old college friend, Marcus Chin. The guy had gone from hacking dorm Wi-Fi to running the best digital forensics outfit in the Pacific Northwest. Marcus, I said, trying to sound calm, I need everything you can find on my wife. What's going on? He asked. I told him. Not every detail, there wasn't time, but enough. He went silent. Then, give me 3 hours. 2.5 hours later, he called back, voice tight. Your wife doesn't exist. What? Jennifer Walsh has no digital footprint before 2018. No work history, no tax documents, no school, no medical records. Her social security number is real, but everything before 2018 is fog. My heart thudded painfully. Meaning? Meaning she built a new identity. Name change, state change, maybe forged documents. Not common, but not impossible if someone's running from something. I closed my eyes. Find what she was running from. By noon, Marcus had found the Oregon case. The one Martinez recognized her from. And then another case. Arizona, 2019. Then Vegas, 2017. Sacramento, 2016. Every file like a punch to the ribs. Different names. Different states. Same woman. Same pattern. Same nightmare. And then came the one thing that broke me, a phone call from Robert Morrison, the ex-husband of the Arizona case. His voice was hollow but urgent. Is your daughter okay? He asked. She'll live. Then listen to me, he said. Rachel, Sarah, Jennifer, whatever she's calling herself now, she doesn't stop. She doesn't change. Hurting kids isn't a loss of control for her. It's the point. My grip tightened around the phone. How do I stop her? You shine a light she can't hide from. That was the moment the plan formed. Not revenge. Not rage. Just clarity. I wasn't going to wait for the justice system that had already let her slip away in 2 states. I was going to end this. Publicly. Permanently. And I knew exactly where to do it. The Cloud Tech Annual Charity Gala. 200 guests. Media coverage. Donors. Executives. Cameras. Jennifer loved those events. She loved being seen. This time, she'd be seen for who she truly was. And she'd never hurt another child again. Saturday night. 7:42 p.m. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel in downtown Seattle shimmered with chandeliers, champagne flutes, and chatter so polished it practically wore cufflinks. The Cloud Tech Annual Charity Gala was in full swing, 200 guests, corporate donors, local press, all raising money for Seattle Children's Hospital. The irony would have made me laugh if I wasn't so focused I could barely blink. I wore my best suit. No tie. I needed to look composed, not vengeful. I smiled. I shook hands. I played the role. Jennifer arrived at 7:47 p.m. on the dot, in a sapphire dress that matched the exact shade of the ocean she claimed to love. Her hair was flawless. Her smile brighter than the chandeliers. She kissed my cheek like we were still married, like she hadn't nearly killed my daughter 6 days ago. Thank you for this, she whispered. For trusting me. I just smiled and led her into the ballroom. Let her bask in it. Let her feel untouchable. She chatted with clients. Laughed with executives. Asked other women about their children like she cared. She was very, very good at pretending. At 9:15, my boss, Karen Walsh, took the stage. Thank you all for coming tonight, she began. Together, we've raised over $300,000 for Seattle Children's Hospital. That money will directly support families dealing with pediatric emergencies. Families like our own Daniel Cooper's. Polite applause. Jennifer squeezed my hand. Karen smiled. Dan, would you like to say a few words? I walked to the podium, slow and measured. Jennifer's smile was perfect. Proud. Confident. I took the mic, looked out over a sea of well-dressed strangers and expensive empathy. Thank you all for being here tonight. Child safety is personal to me. Especially this week. The room went quiet. 6 days ago, I came home from a business trip and found my 6-year-old daughter unconscious on the floor. Gasps. Murmurs. Jennifer's smile faltered. She'd been drugged. Starved. Beaten. While I was away in Minneapolis, selling software. I paused. But that's not the worst part. Jennifer shifted in her seat. The worst part is that the person responsible was someone I trusted. Someone we all trusted. I nodded to Marcus at the back of the room. He tapped a button on the laptop. The projector lit up behind me. A photo. Jennifer's face. But not labeled Jennifer Walsh. Sarah Jensen. A mug shot. I continued. This woman, I said calmly. Has been known by many names: Jennifer Walsh, Sarah Jensen, Rachel Morrison, Julia Martinez, Michelle Chen. Another slide. More mug shots. Different names. Same eyes. She finds single fathers. Becomes the perfect girlfriend. The devoted stepmom. Then, once she's trusted, she hurts their children. Systematically. Methodically. Without remorse. Jennifer stood up. This is insane. Daniel's having a breakdown. From the back of the room, a small voice rang out. You almost killed me. A boy stepped forward. 10 years old. Brown hair. Pale skin. Dylan Martin. He pointed at her. You put pills in my food. You told my dad I was lying. The room erupted. Another voice. You put my daughter in a coma. Robert Morrison stood up, face white with rage. Jennifer tried to run. But Detective Foster was already moving. Badge out. Plainclothes back up behind him. You're under arrest for child endangerment, fraud, identity theft, and felony assault, he said. Jennifer bolted for the exit in heels like a woman trying to outrun her past. She didn't make it. Detective Lauren Hayes from Portland, flown in just for this, stepped in front of the door. You also have an outstanding warrant in Oregon, she said. Jennifer screamed as they cuffed her. You manipulative bastard! You set me up! I stepped forward. No. I exposed you. You think you won? She hissed as they dragged her away. Your daughter deserved it. She was a whiny little brat like all the others. Gasps. People filming. Flashbulbs. News crews. She was done hiding. And I was done protecting her. The fallout hit faster than I expected. By morning, it was everywhere. Serial child abuser exposed at charity gala. Jennifer Walsh revealed as fugitive Sarah Jensen. Seattle father's brave speech unmasks predator wife in front of 200 witnesses. The video of my speech was posted online before I even got home. It had 2 million views before breakfast. 10 by lunch. My inbox was flooded. Colleagues. Strangers. Parents from Lily's school. Reporters. People sharing their own stories. And Jennifer? She sat in King County Jail. No bail. Flight risk. Detective Foster worked like a man with a personal vendetta. Which, after talking to me for 10 minutes, he probably had. We gave him everything. 5 aliases. 5 victims. 3 states with open case files. Digital and forensic evidence. Eyewitness testimony from parents and children. He didn't blink. He just said, we'll bury her with facts. Meanwhile, Lily was healing. Slowly. She slept with the lights on. Clutched my shirt like a security blanket. But she smiled when she saw pancakes. She laughed at the duck that lived in the storm drain near our new apartment. Her pediatric therapist, Dr. Lisa Chin, 17 years treating childhood trauma, was gentle and fierce in equal measure. She's resilient, she told me. But what you did? That public exposure? That was protection. That was closure. The trial date was set 4 months out. Jennifer, real name still under investigation, pleaded not guilty. Her lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive. That I'd fabricated the evidence. That the witnesses were biased. That the children were coached. But the kids? They were stronger than anyone expected. Dylan Martin, now 10, testified first. Voice shaking. Hands trembling. But his words were crystal clear. She said I was weak. That I needed to learn my place. She made me drink NyQuil when I cried. Robert Morrison's daughter went next. 12 years old. Video testimony from Arizona. She locked me in a bathroom for 7 hours once. Told me if I told I'd go to jail for lying. And then, Lily? My little girl. In a blue dress. Hair braided by her grandmother. She walked up to that stand like a soldier in fairy wings. She told me I was bad. Lily said. She said kids lie and grown-ups don't. She made me take sleepy pills even when I said I wasn't tired. I cried in court. Not loudly. Just enough to know I still had feelings left after all this. Jennifer sat there stone-faced. Not a single flicker of guilt. Just cold calculation. Like she was planning her next move even in chains. But the jury wasn't buying it. They deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Child endangerment. Aggravated assault. Identity theft. Fraud. Tampering with evidence. 5 counts of felony child abuse. Sentencing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. Jennifer requested a delay. The judge laughed. Denied. Sentencing day. Courtroom 3B, downtown Seattle. Rain hammered the windows like it had a grudge. The room was packed. Press, parents, child advocates, a few family law professors who clearly smelled a landmark case. But most importantly, 5 children sat in the front row. Lily among them, clutching a plush octopus we'd bought that morning. Judge Patricia Moreno presided. 26 years on the bench, known for handing down sentences that made defense attorneys cry in the elevator. Jennifer, now confirmed to have been born Charlotte and Devlin, was led in wearing orange. No makeup. Hair limp. Still expressionless. Still calculating. Judge Moreno didn't waste time. Miss Devlin, she began, voice like a gavel in itself. I've reviewed the evidence. I've heard the testimony. I've read the psychological profiles. And let me be clear, this isn't a case of misunderstanding, stress, or even mental illness. This is predation. Jennifer didn't flinch. You inserted yourself into grieving families. Targeted vulnerable children. Built false identities to escape consequence. Then you did it again. And again. And again. This court finds your actions not just criminal, but monstrous. I glanced at Lily. Her hand tightened around mine. I sentence you to 48 years in prison. 8 years for each child you systematically abused. Sentences to be served consecutively. No possibility of parole for 20 years. Boom. That was it. Court security moved in. Jennifer blinked finally, but only once. She looked at me as they pulled her up. Then at Lily. And for the first time since this nightmare began, she looked afraid. Let's go, one guard said. She didn't fight this time. She walked. Out of that courtroom. Out of our lives. Out of reach. Afterward, we took the kids for ice cream. No victory speech. No confetti. Just sprinkles. Just normal. Lily smiled as chocolate dribbled down her chin. Do I still have to go to therapy? I laughed. Yes. But now you get to go because you're healing. Not because someone broke you. She stuck out her tongue. I'm not broken. You never were. That night I got a letter. Postmarked from King County Jail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Jennifer. The envelope was thick. I almost threw it away. But I didn't. I opened it. Inside were 3 pages of poison. And 1 threat. The letter started like a mockery of remorse. Dear Daniel, you think you won? You didn't. You just postponed the inevitable. You had resources. You had timing. But you're not special. I've been doing this for 17 years. You caught the sloppy ones. You missed the rest. I read every word. Slowly. Not because I wanted to. Because I needed to. I've had other names. Other towns. Other children. The ones who never told. The ones who thought the pain was their fault. I was careful with them. Smart. The records don't even exist. Their parents still think their kids are liars or difficult, or just sad. She signed it with a flourish, no name, just, I'll be out in 20. I'll be 59. Still young enough to start again. You got lucky. But luck runs out. I sat on the couch, the letter in one hand, 1,000 volts of fury in the other. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I scanned it, emailed it to Detective Foster and the prosecutor. Within an hour, they'd reopened her file. The letter was proof of intent. Consciousness of guilt. It could add years to her sentence, maybe even trigger federal charges. Foster called me. We've suspected there were more. This might help us find them. Then use it. I said. Burn her whole legacy down. He exhaled. We will. I took the letter to Lily's next therapy session. Dr. Chen read it silently. Then handed it back like it stung her fingers. She's trying to hold power, she said. Even from a cell. She wants you scared. She wants to remind you she had control. Is she right? I asked. No, Dr. Chen said simply. Because she's locked in a cage. And you and Lily are free. And she was right. Jennifer, Charlotte, whatever name she wore next, was done. Lily and I? We were just getting started. That weekend, we went to the park. She ran straight for the swings, wind lifting her hair like wings. Daddy, watch me. I'm watching. I called back. I really was. I watched her soar. Brave. Loud. Safe. My daughter, who survived a monster. We left before sunset, got ice cream again, and danced in the kitchen while pasta boiled. Normal. Beautiful. Boring. Exactly what I wanted. But deep down, I knew the story wasn't over. Not entirely. Because sometimes, justice isn't just what you win in court. Sometimes, justice is the promise you make to every parent who missed the signs. Every kid who wasn't believed. And I plan to keep that promise. Every single day. 6 months after sentencing, a manila envelope arrived on my doorstep. No return address, no stamps, just placed there, like someone wanted it close but not traceable. Inside was a USB stick. No note. Just that. I stared at it for a long time before I plugged it into a laptop I no longer used for anything else. What loaded made my blood run cold. Photos. Scanned journal entries. Screenshots of old message boards, emails, encrypted messages between aliases. Someone had found her digital trail. Not someone. Marcus. There was a folder labeled Additional Victims Suspected. 13 names. 7 towns. 4 states. Each file the same: father widowed or divorced, young child, woman with no real past integrating into their lives, sudden changes in the child's health, school performance, or behavior. Some kids had ended up in hospitals. Some hadn't. I called Marcus. Why didn't you send this earlier? I couldn't confirm it. Not all of them have paper trails. But the pattern is clear. She's been doing this since she was 22. Can we use it? We already did. The FBI's building a larger case. You lit the fuse. This is the fire. I sat there surrounded by ghosts. Children whose names I didn't know, faces I couldn't picture, but lives she had burned through like paper. Jennifer had thought she was the smartest person in every room. That fake names and broken systems would keep her safe. But now there were search warrants. Federal subpoenas. Cross-jurisdiction task forces piecing together the full truth. And the best part? She didn't know. Because in solitary confinement, you don't get cable news. You get silence. Lily was thriving. She painted her bedroom door pink and covered it in stickers. She laughed with her new therapist, a woman named Ava who specialized in art therapy, and told Lily her feelings weren't too big, they were just big enough. One night she asked me, "Daddy, will I always remember the bad stuff?" I knelt beside her and said, "You might. But it won't always hurt." She nodded like a grown-up. Then asked if she could have waffles for dinner. We had waffles. With extra syrup. And whipped cream. And 2 strawberries that looked vaguely like hearts. The world wasn't fixed. But in our tiny corner of it, it was healing. And that was enough for me. 2 weeks ago, I got a call from a journalist. National publication. Investigative piece. She'd gotten wind of the gala video, the trial, the federal case, all of it. Wanted to profile the story, focus on Jennifer's decades-long deception and the systemic failures that let her keep going. "You were the first one to stop her," she said. I almost laughed. Not out of ego. Just disbelief. Because it didn't feel like I'd stopped her. It felt like I'd survived her. But I said yes. Not because I wanted the attention, God, no, but because I wanted that light to stay on her. I wanted her name, her face, her history plastered across every screen so she couldn't change it again. The journalist came to the apartment. Met Lily. Saw our wall of kid art, and the octopus plush that had become her co-pilot in healing. Saw the spreadsheet I kept of therapy notes and the happy list Lily had taped to the fridge: waffles, swings, dad hugs, stickers, Thursday cartoons. She asked me how I did it. How I managed to track Jennifer down, stay calm, hold it together. And I told her the truth. I didn't. I unraveled. I doubted myself every step. But every time I looked at my daughter and remembered what she survived, I kept going. She nodded, quietly emotional. Then she asked if there was one message I'd want to send to other parents. I thought for a long time. Then I said, "Listen when your kid says something feels wrong. Don't brush off the quiet changes. And never, ever, let someone tell you love means silence." The article came out last Monday. Front page. Viral within hours. Titled, "The Stepmonster: How One Father Unmasked a Serial Abuser Hiding in Plain Sight." It didn't glorify me. It honored Lily. It honored the other children. It named the system failures. The judges who dismissed restraining orders. The school nurses who flagged bruises no one followed up on. The therapists who tried to report, only to get buried in red tape. It ended with a photo of Lily on the swings. Free. Flying. And I realized that was what this was always about, not revenge. Not exposure. Freedom. For her. For the other kids. Even for the fathers who still blamed themselves. We didn't stop her early enough. But we stopped her now. And now we rebuild. One sticker, one swing, one soft night at a time. 3 days ago, I got a package from the FBI. Inside was a file. Thick. Tabbed. Classified until recently. They'd cross-referenced Jennifer's, Charlotte's, movements with missing persons reports, ER records, and sealed juvenile cases. It was a dossier of maybe victims. Children whose bruises were dismissed, whose behavioral spirals were labeled. Rebellion. Whose parents never connected the dots. There were 15 names. 15. Some files had outcomes. Some didn't. One child ran away and was never found. Another ended up in juvenile detention for acting out, blamed for their own pain. A third, hospitalized for failure to thrive, was sent home when the mother convinced doctors it was a genetic condition. Jennifer had left breadcrumbs. But no one followed them until now. And the pattern was clear: she preyed on grief. On chaos. On the blind spots of love and the laziness of institutions. She knew how to speak fluent adult reassurance, smiles, plausible lies, weaponized charm. The FBI agent who delivered the package was quiet when he handed it over. "We think your case might be the beginning of something bigger," he said. I nodded. "It already is." I made copies. Sent the files to the other fathers. We created a group chat, bluntly named Dad Watch. We meet once a month on Zoom. We compare notes. Talk through the damage. Share resources. Recommend therapists. Sometimes we don't even talk about Jennifer. Sometimes we just check in. One of them, Chris Martin, Dylan's dad, told me, "I used to think I failed my son. But now I realize I just needed someone else to say, 'You're not crazy. She's real. And it wasn't your fault.' That alone makes it worth it." Lily started writing stories. At first, they were messy stick figure comics about kittens who punch monsters. Now they're full paragraphs with characters and feelings and villains that always lose. I found one taped to her bedroom wall last night. A drawing of a girl with curly hair and a superhero cape. Caption: "I'm not scared anymore." I tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Me either. Because I'm not. Not of Jennifer. Not of the past. Not even of what's still ahead. Because we're not just survivors. We're witnesses. We're warriors. We're free." 2 weeks ago, Lily had her first nightmare in months. I woke to her calling out, quiet, like she wasn't sure I'd come. I was at her side in seconds. She was sitting up, eyes wide but not crying. Just alert. Braced. "What happened?" I asked gently. "She was in the closet," she whispered. "Waiting. She said she missed me." My chest squeezed like a fist had grabbed my ribs. I didn't tell her Jennifer was locked in a cell 6 inches wide and 7 feet long. I didn't remind her she was safe now. I just pulled her close and said, "She can't reach you anymore. And if she ever tries, she'll find me standing between you and the door." Lily nodded. "You'd stop her. Every time." She didn't ask to sleep in my bed, she just grabbed my hand and lay back down, pulling the blanket to her chin. I stayed until her breathing evened out, then stayed longer because I needed to. Because fear has an echo, and silence after a storm feels like waiting for another one. The next morning, I called Dr. Chin. She added an extra session that week. Later, Lily came home with a painting, bright colors, messy edges, huge eyes. "It's me," she said. "And you?" "And the safe bubble." I smiled. "What's the bubble made of?" "Unbreakable stuff," she said. "Like space helmets." God, I hope so. That night I added another camera to the porch. Not because I expected anything. Because I don't ever want to get caught not expecting again. That's the thing nobody tells you about surviving someone like her. You never really exhale. You just get better at living between breaths. But some days, you breathe deeper. You make pancakes. You label things. You let your daughter wear fairy wings to the grocery store, and you call it armor. And you call that a win. A few days ago, I picked Lily up early from school for a surprise. No reason. No occasion. Just one of those golden fall afternoons where the sky looks photoshopped and every leaf looks like it's trying to win an award. We went to the aquarium. She wore her Shark Princess hoodie and brought her tiny notebook to draw fish facts. I didn't ask. I just carried her bag and let her lead. We walked past the jellyfish tunnel. She gasped every time one pulsed near the glass. "Daddy," she whispered, like it was a secret. "Did you know jellyfish have no heart?" "Really?" "Yeah. But they still move. Like magic." I knelt beside her. "You know what? Some people don't have hearts either. But they still hurt people." She nodded slowly. "But they don't win." "Right. Not when you've got armor. And backup. And a Shark Princess badge." She grinned. We stopped at the touch pool. She poked a starfish, then looked up at me and asked, "Will Jennifer ever find us again?" I didn't lie. "I can't say never. But I can say this, if she does, there are laws, and detectives, and cameras, and people watching now. And me." She thought about that for a while. Then she whispered, "She doesn't deserve to be in my story anymore." My throat caught. I smiled and nodded. "Then let's write a better one." After the aquarium, we got fries and milkshakes and sat on the hood of the car watching the sun dip into Puget Sound. She leaned against me. "Can I be a writer when I grow up?" she asked. "You already are," I said. And I meant it. Because this kid, this tiny survivor with stickers on her backpack and monsters behind her, is rewriting the ending every day. We're not just surviving. We're editing. We're choosing. And the version we're writing? It's full of swings, waffles, paintings, and armor made of love. This morning, Lily left a note on the fridge. Just a sticky note in her crooked handwriting, right next to the grocery list and the emergency numbers. It read, "Today I am happy. Not scared. Just happy. No fanfare. No drawing. Just that." I stared at it like it was a holy document. I don't know when exactly the fear started to fade for her. There wasn't a single moment, no light switch click, just little shifts. Laughs that didn't sound borrowed. Sleep without checking the closet. Paintings that didn't include cages or bruises or shadows. She's still in therapy. Still working through the weight of everything. But now her questions are different. What happens if someone else like her tries to hurt another kid? What if their dad doesn't know yet? What if they think it's their fault? They're not just her questions. They're mine too. So we've started answering them together. We're working with a local nonprofit that trains teachers and pediatricians to spot abuse early. I gave a talk last week, me, a guy who once froze when asked to describe his feelings, standing in front of 150 people with a slideshow titled, "You might be the only one who believes them." Lily made the cover slide. A drawing of a grown-up and a kid inside a giant speech bubble with the words, "I hear you. I believe you. I'm staying." She asked if she could come to the next event. I said we'd see. She's 6. She shouldn't carry this. But maybe sharing it is how she's letting it go. The counselor says it's power reclamation. I say it's my daughter being braver than most adults I know. Some nights I still wake up at 3 a.m., sweaty and wired, thinking I hear her crying. I get up and check anyway. Every time, she's fast asleep. Hair sprawled. Legs in wild directions. Arms wrapped around that same plush octopus. Every time, I exhale. Because this is the life we saved. And now, finally, I've stopped holding my breath. Last weekend, we took a trip. Nothing extravagant. Just a 2-hour drive up the coast to a cabin my friend owns. Quiet place, old wood, creaky floors. But it overlooked the water and smelled like pine and peace. Lily packed her stuffed octopus, 3 books, her glitter markers, and 2 peanut butter sandwiches in a Ziploc she insisted on carrying herself. She told me we needed adventure snacks. On the drive up, she fell asleep halfway through a spoonful of sugar and drooled all over the seatbelt. I didn't mind. I turned down the radio and just drove. No destination anxiety. No itinerary. Just motion. At the cabin, we hiked a little. We painted rocks. We built a puzzle with half the pieces missing. And on the second night, we sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket while Lily asked me if I'd ever been scared. All the time, I said. She looked surprised. But you're the daddy. I know. But being a dad doesn't mean I never feel fear. It just means I try to keep going anyway. She was quiet a moment, then nodded slowly. That's what I'm doing too. Going anyway. The stars were out. Crisp and sharp like diamonds tossed across black glass. Lily pointed at one. That one's mine. What's its name? She thought. Hope. Of course it was. That night, while she slept, I opened my laptop and began writing everything down. Every memory. Every nightmare. Every court transcript. Every scrap of healing. Not just for me. Not just for her. For the other fathers. The ones still unsure. Still ashamed. Still blind. Because the truth is, I didn't save Lily because I was brave. I saved her because someone finally looked close enough to ask the right question. Martinez. Foster. Marcus. Chris. The nurse in Oregon. The therapist in Arizona. One by one, they formed a chain I could grab onto and pull. Now I want to be part of someone else's chain. Because monsters don't live under beds. They live behind charming smiles. And sometimes the only thing that stops them is another parent finally saying, "Not this time." Last weekend, we took a trip. Nothing extravagant. Just a 2-hour drive up the coast to a cabin my friend owns. Quiet place, old wood, creaky floors, but it overlooked the water and smelled like pine and peace. Lily packed her stuffed octopus, 3 books, her glitter markers, and 2 peanut butter sandwiches in a Ziploc she insisted on carrying herself. She told me we needed adventure snacks. On the drive up, she fell asleep halfway through a spoonful of sugar and drooled all over the seatbelt. I didn't mind. I turned down the radio and just drove. No destination anxiety. No itinerary. Just motion. At the cabin, we hiked a little. We painted rocks. We built a puzzle with half the pieces missing. And on the second night, we sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket while Lily asked me if I'd ever been scared. All the time, I said. She looked surprised. But you're the daddy. I know. But being a dad doesn't mean I never feel fear. It just means I try to keep going anyway. She was quiet a moment, then nodded slowly. That's what I'm doing too. Going anyway. The stars were out. Crisp and sharp like diamonds tossed across black glass. Lily pointed at one. That one's mine. What's its name? She thought. Hope. Of course it was. That night, while she slept, I opened my laptop and began writing everything down. Every memory. Every nightmare. Every court transcript. Every scrap of healing. Not just for me. Not just for her. For the other fathers. The ones still unsure. Still ashamed. Still blind. Because the truth is, I didn't save Lily because I was brave. I saved her because someone finally looked close enough to ask the right question. Martinez. Foster. Marcus. Chris. The nurse in Oregon. The therapist in Arizona. One by one, they formed a chain I could grab onto and pull. Now I want to be part of someone else's chain. Because monsters don't live under beds. They live behind charming smiles. And sometimes the only thing that stops them is another parent finally saying, "Not this time." Reply with plus when you're ready for the true final part. This is the final part. Part 16. 1 year to the day after I found Lily unconscious on the floor, we went back to that same hardwood entryway. Not to relive it. To reclaim it. The house had sat empty ever since. I'd sold the furniture. Painted the walls. Replaced every light fixture. It didn't feel haunted anymore. Just hollow. A structure. A space waiting for a new story. Lily walked in first. She didn't freeze. She didn't cry. She turned slowly in a circle, took a deep breath, and said, "It's not scary now." I knelt down beside her. "Why do you think that is?" "Because she's not in it," she said. "And you are." We spent the afternoon there, not doing anything special, just being. I brought sandwiches and juice boxes. She sat on the floor and drew with chalk on the empty wood. Wrote her name in big, bold letters. Before we left, she asked if we could leave one thing behind. She took a pink marker from her backpack and, with my permission, wrote a sentence on the inside of the closet door. "Monsters can't live where love does." We locked the door behind us. We didn't look back. That night, Lily fell asleep in under 10 minutes. No stories, no night-light rituals, no clinging. Just calm. I sat on the couch in our new place, holding the letter from Jennifer one last time. Then I fed it through the shredder. Piece by piece. Line by line. threat by threat. Gone. Not to erase what happened, but to remind myself what didn't happen. She didn't win. She didn't break Lily. She didn't get away. And no matter what story she writes in her mind from a prison cell, they'll never be stronger than the one we live every day. The one where Lily wakes up safe. Where she eats waffles with too much syrup. Where she names jellyfish and stars and fear doesn't sit at the table anymore. Where the porch light is on, not for a monster to sneak in, but for a little girl who might want to swing late into the night and yell, "Watch me!" And I always will. Forever. 1 year later, Lily stood in the same hallway where I once found her unconscious and whispered, "It's not scary now." She wrote on the inside of the closet door in pink marker, "Monsters can't live where love does." We left that house together, locked it behind us, and never looked back. That night, I shredded Jennifer's last letter, piece by piece. She didn't win. She never will. Because love stayed. And she's gone. And Lily? She's free. Safe. Loud. Laughing. Alive.